Entomology is not etymology. Entomology is the study of insects. Etymology is the study of words. The etymology of entomology, the origin of the word is from Greek. Entomon is Greek for insect, and logia is study of. So entomology is the study of insects. Insects are arthropods. Arthropods means jointed legs. So there's all these animals with an exoskeleton. They don't have an internal skeleton. Their legs tend to be jointed and made up of segments, the same as their bodies are. The major groups would be flies, which is Diptera, which just means two wings, Diatera. Lepidoptera, which is your moths and butterflies. Coleoptera, which is your beetles. Hemiptera, which is your bugs, so that's also the cicadas, the hoppers. Orthoptera, which is crickets and grasshoppers. Odonata are the damselflies and dragonflies. We're behind the scenes in the entomology collection of the Australian Museum Research Institute. So the size of the collection, we have about 1.8 million dry pin specimens, or specimens on slides or in paper envelopes, and about 500,000 lots of insects, which a lot can be anything from one specimen to tens of thousands of specimens. Total number of specimens within the collection as individuals would be somewhere between 10 and 20 million. So in the entomology collection we have 1,800 type specimens. The type specimen is the specimen that is the reference specimen for anyone else working on that group. So if a researcher comes along and thinks they've got a new species, they would compare the specimen to types of closely related species. It should have significant differences from any other type to be its own unique species. Challenges of looking after insects in a collection, aside from things like maintaining the conditions for them so that the temperature and humidity are constant and we don't get pest outbreaks. Handling of specimens. As specimens get older, they get more and more brittle and need more and more care when they're being handled. Really old, historical, valuable type specimens need really careful handling.
My name's Chris Reid and I'm a principal research scientist at the Australian Museum. The collection is a research collection. It has two functions. It's a store of knowledge. We are retaining these specimens because they are examples of certain species found at certain times in certain places. And particularly with, for example, climate change, our collections start to show shifts in distribution of species. My role here at the museum is in research. Beetles being beetles, there are maybe 500,000 species in the world. I can't be an expert on all of them, so I'm a specialist in certain groups of beetles. And I try and use those certain groups in research on pests of crops, or climate change, or study of fire impacts on forests. Nowadays, there's a professional interest in how do these specimens relate to ongoing world concerns with conservation and biodiversity. The Australian Museum collection is a fantastic historical document which we're continually adding to, and it will have enormous importance for future generations for their research.
My name is Andrew Mitchell. I'm a senior research scientist in entomology, mostly on moths, but also on beetles and silverfish. I do a variety of work, from DNA-based to morphological work. That's really important when it comes to things like invasive species. So there are a lot of pests that we're trying to keep out of Australia. Very often the specimens that will be picked up by the quarantine authorities will be larvae, which are not identifiable by normal morphological means. So we rely on the DNA sequences to match larvae and adults and come to a reliable identification. Our collection is essential to get a reliable identification of anything. The preserved specimens that we have in the drawers, and in particular the type specimens, which are the reference point. Insects comprise the vast majority of Australia's biodiversity. They underpin most ecosystems, so it's essential that we have a good representative sample of them in here.